The curious events soon grabbed media interest, and a film of the strange case was made. It became clear the inexplicable things only happened when Anna-Marie Charbel was present. She was a young mother at the time. Eventually, the police were called in and questioned her.
How do you do it, he said. Just tell me how you do it. And he sat there for an hour in front of me. I don't know, I said. I don't know.
Whenever something happened, the girl was there, but she would become really stiff, couldn't move. And then later on, as things progressed, if something happened, foam would start seeping from her mouth.
Could Anna-Marie really cause all this uproar on her own? For the media, she was an easy target. They called her a witch. The investigators used all the modern methods available, filming the office, Anna-Marie, and the destruction that seemed to surround her. They even managed to catch this picture, apparently moving on its own. They believed they had found proof that it was a poltergeist tormenting the office. The Rosenheim case is one of the best documented ghost stories in history. Every strange event was recorded, but no one found an answer that explained how or why it all happened. And the woman at the center of it all still searches for the truth.
There was something there. That kind of thing doesn't just happen. Why should I suddenly have such powers? It's impossible. Impossible. I'm a totally normal person with a totally normal brain that can think normally. There must be something more to it.
30 years on, and science may now be providing some better answers. With the help of technology, scientists can even create the ultimate virtual haunted house. Will it be as terrifying as the real thing? Edinburgh, Scotland. The 18th century vaults below the South Bridge once housed the poor people of the city. But they had to share the damp arches with some gruesome neighbors. As a tour guide, Adam Wollaston is familiar with its history.
One of the most famous groups of criminals that were ever associated with these vaults were the body snatchers. You would have to take your body once you'd got it out of the grave and hide it as quickly as possible before anyone saw you. The best place they found to hide these bodies was right here in the Southbridge vaults. And that's one of the reasons why we have so many ghost stories about this place.
Many people have reported seeing strange things here. With its dark, low ceilings and dank atmosphere, it's an ideal hiding place for the supernatural. It's precisely these conditions that Richard Wiseman was keen to explore, and in 2001, he launched another paranormal investigation. Each of the 218 participants was asked to spend 10 minutes alone in the vaults. Kieran O'Keefe was part of the research team.
They were free to walk around within the vault, to sit down, to stand still. They were free to do whatever they wanted, but they just had to report any unusual experiences that they had.
Some people would feel a burning on their arm. They would actually think perhaps they were too close to a candle and turn around and the candle was a very long way away. Or they heard footsteps. One person heard their name whispered into their ear.
There was definitely a feeling over there of something going past. The coldness on the ankle, and it was like something brushed it. And that's when I was sort of squealed. Very brave.
After a few minutes, I felt a really hot, burning itch on the inside of my left arm. And it got hotter and itchier.
Some of them had experienced something which was reasonably extreme, thought that we'd played a trick on them. So they'd say, well, that was really clever, the way you managed to get the guy with the apron to walk across the door. And we said, what are you talking about? That we wouldn't play that kind of trick. This is a scientific experiment. And at that moment, the experience really became dramatic for them. They suddenly realised they had seen something which simply did not exist in the material world.
What was it they thought they saw? The spirits of the undead? Or something else?
And the darkness plays a huge factor in that. It's the fear factor. In a lot of these cases that you hear of, a lot of these witness reports, darkness is the fear factor.
Okay, there's just no way I would come down here on my own again. I would have to be in a party or a group, but I wouldn't be left alone on here.
Now, I don't believe in ghosts. What I do believe is the people who are telling us their experiences, that they suddenly felt a sense of presence or felt very cold, are telling us the truth. And the interesting question to me, as a psychologist, is what's going on there.
There are no magnetic fields or exposure to infrasound in the vaults. Even the temperature is constant. So what was happening?
The main explanatory factor was the way the vault looked. The larger vaults, the darker vaults, the vaults where you would stand in them and say, well, it's a dark corner over there, maybe there's a ghost there, and I find that a really scary and possibly even terrifying idea. Those were the ones that were causing the experiences. So I think for the Edinburgh Vault, we're looking at a haunting which is visually driven.
At the Caledonian University in Glasgow, researchers are using the sharp end of science to test this theory. Could a scary virtual environment alter our actual perceptions? Using 3D animation, they recreated the Edinburgh Vaults. Participants can take a virtual stroll and record any changes they sense. Computer game specialist Jonathan Sykes developed the model.
Now this is one of the most terrifying rooms. People see a shoesmith in the real environment in here. Very spooky.
It's very interesting when you actually see the experiment in action, because I can actually see exactly what the participants are seeing, and I can see that there really is nothing there, even though they're seeing very, very strong hallucinations. They're actually feeling breathing on the back of the neck, and I can see there's no one behind them.
And it's showing the power of our imagination, that once you feed people with these types of visual images, even though they're not in the actual location, it will still produce ghostly experiences.
To put the theory to the test, Richard wanted a real skeptic to sit alone in the vaults in the dark for a long time. His guinea pig is psychology postgraduate student Emma Beebe, who was positive she did not believe in ghosts. The results were filmed with infrared cameras. So how did she manage after the first 5 minutes?
Well, I can hear what sounds like somebody else breathing. That's quite terrifying. I'm pretty anxious here. You know, it sounded like somebody was right over there, standing in the corner of the room, and breathing through their mouth. That's the strangest thing. It's like, it's really strange.